I'm having like a lot of sunlight here. A lot of sunlight. Okay. So much for trying to get this done properly. Alright, so that should be like this, and this one like this. Alright. So that's interesting. So okay, I see. So that's because of that. Okay. And then over here. I'm not even looking like myself. I try to do enhancements over here, but the enhancements are not enhancing. Hold on, I want to adjust this. Do this. So hold on, YouTube folks. I want to try something. Oh my goodness, I'll be so glad when this contract is over. Contract is over. Hello. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of drama with my device here. So hello. Hold on. So let's see if this works. I'm just trying to get rid of the shine. I'm having like a lot of shine just looking at my screen, and then it becomes hard for me to see what's going on because I just have a lot of shine going on. So welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Tochi. For those of you who know me, I'm Dr. Tochi, Papa Dr. Tochi. Okay. And I okay. And I wanted to mention that today I put out volume 3, Central Africa. I probably should have put up the thing on TikTok as well. Um, but I have to figure out how to do it on YouTube. I put out today volume 3 of the African Divination series, and it's 120 pages for Central Africa. The divination practices in Central Africa, and I will tell you, it's very interesting. Um, there's the use of poisons, the use of mirrors, the use of water, the use of baskets, the use of the bones of ancestors. I mean, like, if you are from Central Africa, y'all need to tell us what y'all are doing out there because you have a lot of things going on when it comes to divinations, okay? People out in West Africa are thinking that they're all that, okay? They're out there thinking, okay, we're all that with our cowrie shells and our stones, okay? Y'all need to see what's happening in East Africa. East Africans be using liquids and waters and mirrors and nkessis and a whole bunch of things, even going into trance. There's even a tribe that does divination by dreams, specific dream. So they will take a hallucinogenic and then they will go to sleep by the fire. And then the ancestors will come in the night and tell them the solution to the problems. There's just so much going on in Central Africa. And researching Central Africa was such a learning for me. Okay, it's such a learning for me because here am I thinking, okay, West Africa, probably the southern part of Africa, they have, you know, the big deal when it comes to divinations. until I started looking at Central Africa. Central Africa, I mean, ancestor bones are used in divination, chickens used in divination, animals, even rubbing wood together, rubbing sticks together, used in divination. So that's why the ebook is 120 pages, about 120 pages. And like I said, I just put it out today. So get your copy on my website, tochi.us, or you can send a DM or email. We'll send you the link. I posted it on my platforms. I believe I posted it on TikTok and YouTube. I haven't posted on Facebook and Instagram in a while. I just haven't been on those platforms in a while. What's fascinating to me is just how many ways people can do divinations without having to lay their hands on tarot cards or oracle cards. And there are a lot of people out here in the West who think that, oh, yeah, that's the best way or the only way or the major way of doing a divination. Wait till you've done a divination with a chicken and a little bit of um, you know. Stormy Devil says, you said it so quick. Is the link below? No, the link, I posted it on. I probably should be able to grab it from somewhere, but I did post the link on the YouTube community page. So if you go to my community page on YouTube, I posted the image and then I posted the link there. You can also go to my website at tochi.us, tochi.us, and go to courses and books and you'll see it there. Okay, volume 3. That was a fun book to put together. I will tell you it was fun. Getting the images, looking up the images, trying to see what things looked like. Baskets and gourds and wood and bark, things that people were using. It is interesting. Okay, Stormy Garvin, it is very interesting. Okay, it's very interesting, especially when they're using chickens for divinations or when the person uses themselves for divination. Folks in the Congo, they use boiling water for divinations. I was like, what the hell? What the hell? Okay. They use boiling water to figure things out. If someone took something, if someone is accused of something and things of that nature, they can use, they call it the boiling water oracle. And they will use hot water to find out who should be in hot water. Okay. Remember to power tap the screen. Remember to give the class a thumbs up. That lets the platform know to notify folks that class is in session. And mind you, this is just volume 3. I still have volume 4 and volume 5 to do. So there's still Southern Africa. I haven't I've gathered the data or the information. So I'm still going to put through a volume 4 for Southern Africa. I want to do West Africa last, volume 5, because over here in the Americas, we're just like, we just have too much of West African stuff, especially so I figured I'd leave that for last. But I really, really recommend it. You can also use these African divination books in conjunction with the African Ancestor Connection Primer. It's on my background right here on TikTok. I don't know how to do backgrounds on YouTube. I don't know that YouTube has a thing for doing backgrounds unless you're using a dedicated device for that. Okay. So, if you have questions about divination and ancestors, feel free to ask them and we will talk about that. Okay. But I will tell you it's very, very fascinating. Okay. There are some divinations, especially the poison ones, that are only meant for men. The women don't do that. Okay. And then there are some divinations that the women get involved in. Um, it's just mind boggling. It's just like mind boggling. If you haven't started working with your ancestors, I will recommend, regardless of your race or gender or color or background, that you look into working with your ancestors, okay? The tree is nothing without its roots. The tree is nothing without its roots. So if you have been having dreams where you're dreaming of your parents who have passed on to the other side, those dreams are significant dreams. Don't overlook them. Don't say, oh, well, I know my mom passed a while ago or my dad passed a while ago, so it is what it is. No, there's a reason why you are seeing your mother and your father in your dreams, even if you did not have a good relationship with them. Even if you did not have a good relationship with your parents, if you see them in your dreams, that means something. Don't disregard it. Don't blow it off. Don't say to yourself, "Oh well, it's not a big deal." Sometimes when you dream of your father, it means something from your father's lineage, your father's side of the family. It doesn't always necessarily mean your father. Okay? So if there are some things you need to be paying attention to from your father's lineage, it's not unusual for you to dream of your father. Okay? It's not unusual to dream of your father. If there are things you need to be paying attention to from your mother's lineage, it's not unusual to dream of your mother. It's not unusual to dream of their home or their hometown. Okay, I'm going to leave this YouTube device alone because I'm trying to adjust it and make it more comfortable here, but it looks like I'm messing it up. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean that you should have had a pristine or wonderful relationship with your parents for those dreams to come to you. Okay, there are lots of people who even have dreams and they never met their biological parents. But when they have the dream, they realized in that dream that, hey, this person was actually my biological mother, or this person was my biological father. And so, but when they wake up from the dream, they're like, but I never met my biological parents. So how did I know this in the dream? Well, when we are in the dream state, we have a higher level of knowing. We have a higher level of knowing. So we know that we know. Okay? We know that we know. So when we have these dreams and we're dreaming of the mother's family, mother's side of the family, mother's house, mother's home, mother's hometown, or the same thing for the father, you need to start looking at your ancestors and you need to start asking questions. What are my ancestors requiring of me? Okay. There are many of us who are missing out on blessings just because we don't acknowledge our ancestors. Something as simple as good morning. Thank you so much, Afrifan. Thank you for the heart me. Thank you. Appreciate you. Folks, remember to power tap and to give the thumbs up. That notifies the platform to inform people that we are in session. Okay. There are some of us who just need to say good morning to our ancestors and we will start seeing a change in our lives. There are some of us, thank you, Manixman, for liking the live. Thank you, Afrostar, for liking the live. Okay. There are some of us who just need to pour a libation and we will start seeing changes. Simple libation. Yesterday we talked about starved ancestors. If you want to learn more about starved ancestors and how ancestors can be starved, watch the replay from yesterday's class. It's available on YT. Okay. There are a lot of people with starving ancestors. Okay. There are a lot of people with starving ancestors. And so pouring them a libation or making an offering to them will make a huge difference. Okay. It is possible. Here's another question that came up yesterday. Is it possible for me to work with my ancestors when I did not have a good relationship with my parents? The answer is yes. You can work with your ancestors without having a normal or simple or pleasant or cordial relationship with your parents. Okay? Your grandmother is not your mother. Your grandfather is not your father. Your great grandmother is not your mother. Your great grandfather is not your father. Okay? And your parents cannot deny you that relationship. It doesn't matter what they may say here. I brought you into this world and I'm the only one, and blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. You can only go through me. Blah, 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 blah. That's all BS. Once you're a descendant, you are a descendant. No one can take that from you. Once you are a descendant, you are a descendant. No one can take that from you. So even if your mom be acting up or your dad be acting crazy, you can work with your ancestors. You can work with your ancestors. That's what we talked about yesterday ad nauseum. You can work with your ancestors. Even if you never met them, you can work with your ancestors. Even if you don't know the names they had when they were on this plane of existence in this realm, you can work with your ancestors. Even if you don't know what they looked like, you can work with your ancestors. Even if you have no idea what they sounded like, you can work with your ancestors. Even if people told you dreadful stories about them, you can work with your ancestors. And you can work with them on your own terms. Okay? Your mom, for instance, may have had a poor relationship with her mother, but it doesn't mean that you should have a poor relationship with her mother, who's your grandmother. Sunshine Chili says, how can I find and work out the ancestral trauma? First thing, is it yours to work out? Is the ancestral trauma yours to work out? That's the first question. Is that cross yours to carry? There are certain people in lineages, in families, who are better equipped to do that kind of work, and they came here to do that work. So the first thing I will say to you is find out, is that what you are supposed to do? Or are you thinking, well, if I do this, everybody will think I'm wonderful and I'll get brownie points and everybody will look up to me? Is my ego getting involved here? Or is this part of my life destiny? Not everybody was meant to be a soldier. Not everybody was meant to be a merchant. Not everybody's meant to be a priest or priestess, and not everybody is meant to be a ruler. Not everybody is meant to be a slave. How do I know that? Get a divination. Go to the spiritual practitioner you trust and get a divination. Am I here to work out the ancestral trauma? It's that simple. Don't carry a cross that is not yours to carry. That's the simplest and kindest thing I could say to anybody when it comes to spirituality. Thank you for liking the live, DJ. Don't try to be a hero when you were not called to be a hero, when you're not being paid to be a hero. I know we go on social media and people, oh yeah, I'm the one who healed all my lineage trauma. I'm the one who avenged my ancestors. I'm the one. And we see and watch all these motivational things. Thank you for the Rosa Sunshine Chili. I appreciate you. And we see the motivational things, and we see the AI and the cartoons, and the motivational pictures and stuff, and people wearing fancy clothing coming out and saying, I'm the chosen one. But I must tell you that a lot of that is just social media content. There are several people who are putting out motivational content like that have nothing to do with spirituality. They're like, I just need the views, I need the eyeballs so I can get paid. You need to be aware of that. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm an advocate for not carrying crosses that are not yours to carry. You don't get any brownie points. You don't get, super access to heaven or avoid hell by going to carry problems that are not yours to carry. Get a divination. Get a divination from an authentic and experienced spiritual practitioner. What am I here to do? What is my life destiny? What am I here to do? You will have better chance, generally speaking, if you've been called to spiritual practice to work with ancestral trauma than if you have not been called to spiritual practice. Because folks who have been called to spiritual practice come here with certain equipment. Sunshine Chili says, I don't know any. Google is your best friend. I am also a spiritual practitioner. You can go to my website at tochi.us and look for my consultations and book an appointment. Okay. So that's why I did that video, Have You Been Called to Spiritual Practice? Because people who have been called to spiritual practice to do this as part of their life destiny are built different. And they can metabolize a whole bunch of stuff better than people who have not been called to spiritual practice. And a lot of people have been called to spiritual practice. It's not this exclusive club open to only a few. It is amazing to me that I have a lot of people who come to me in consultation and we do a divination and they find out that they've been called to spiritual practice. And they said, well, I do know I was different. People told me I had gifts. People told me this. People told me that. But I didn't know what to do. Well, now you do. Okay. Being called to spiritual practice does not depend on your skin color, doesn't depend on your gender, doesn't depend on your orientation, it doesn't depend on your academic background or your financial status. Doesn't depend on it. Okay? Yesterday we talked about spirit, how we are all spirit, and spirit is neutral. It is our function that makes us either positive or negative, and we talked about that ad nauseum yesterday. Okay? So if you come here and do nice things to certain people, those people will see you as a nice person. If you do not so nice things to other people, those other people will not see you as a nice person. It's that simple. But it doesn't change the fundamental that you are spirit who is neutral. And the same thing applies to the spirits that we work with. Okay? The spirits that we call spirit guides, the spirits that we call deities and gods and goddesses, and so on and so forth. The universe is neutral. The job of the universe is to remain balanced. The job of the universe is to remain balanced, to remain in equilibrium. If there's too much good, then not good will follow. If there's too much not good, then good will follow. And I understand this is hard to accept when you are at the short end of the stick experiencing not so good things. Just rest assured that life is like a pendulum. It will swing positive, swing negative, swing positive, swing negative. Okay? Keep on swinging, positive and negative. So what we do in our spirituality is to say, I want to be at a point of equilibrium where good does not overwhelm me, and not so good, evil or bad, does not overwhelm me. That if good is happening, I take it in stride, I don't lose my head. And that if not so good is happening, that I don't despair, I don't lose hope, and I don't lose my head either. That I will know how to conduct myself, my affairs, and my emotions regardless of what is facing me. And so one of the things is learning how to stay in your lane. One of my favorite phrases recently is mind your own business. And I've been saying it to some people close to me and they get offended. They bring up certain topics and I say, honey, just mind your own business. And they're like, and I say, this is what I mean. I'm not trying to insult you, but this is what I mean. When you mind business that is not yours, you will also have to endure the outcomes that are not yours. And a lot of smart people and wealthy people and wise people are aware of it. That's why they don't help everybody. And I've shared so many stories about this, from the physical, the financial, to spiritual, and so forth. Okay? You cannot help everybody. It's not your job to help everybody. There are some people that if you go to help, you will be destroyed. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Yes, Miss B. Balance. There are, and I'm saying this, and folks need to hear me on this. There are people, if you help them and you're not meant to help them, you will suffer. There are people who, if you go to help them, you will suffer. Someone else might go to help them and not suffer. But if you in particular, you go to help this person, you will suffer. Thank you for the repost, Ms. B. And the reason why you will suffer is because it is not for you to help the person. So that's why one of my phrases for this year, especially this summer, is mind your own business. If I get the slightest inkling that I'm not supposed to interfere with somebody or get involved in their affairs, I will not. And this principle is very important to those of you who are spiritual practitioners. You cannot take every job. I repeat, you cannot take every job. If you're a counselor, a spiritual counselor, a spiritual practitioner, a spiritual teacher, you cannot take every job. You cannot take every client. You cannot take every customer. You cannot take every situation. You cannot. Can CANNOT. I had to think about the spelling of that for a minute. And this is a lesson I learned the hard way. Because each time I helped people I had no business helping, I suffered the blowback. I suffered the consequences. Don't think it's a personal failing if you cannot help somebody. You're not meant to help everybody. Even the pastors do not help everybody. The prophets, the evangelists, the sheikhs, the imams, the muftis, the priests, the rabbi, they don't help everybody. That's why they have security detail. That's why they have a security entourage. If somebody they're not supposed to help or they don't want to help is approaching them, their security, their bodyguards will intercept that person and keep them away from them. That's why they have security. So security will stop the person and say, "No, not today, Satan." Well, I was being facetious there, but you understand what I mean. You can't help everybody. You may have the kindest hearts. You may have the best of intentions. You may be serving the martyr egregore or the victim egregore, whatever egregore you're working with. You will suffer if you start meddling with people you have no business meddling with. Learn how to mind your business. When you're looking at somebody and you're saying, "Oh, and they're doing this and they have this and they're living this lifestyle and the other and the whatnot," you don't know who is drumming for that little bird dancing on the path. Not everything is obvious. There are people who know more than you do. There are people who know more than I do. And if they don't get involved, they have a reason for not getting involved. And it's not always wickedness. Oh, people be wicked. People don't want to help. People are just looking over. People are looking away. They na 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 na. Is it possible that they know something you don't? I want you to think about that. Is it possible that these people know something that you don't? And they're protecting themselves by not getting involved. Oh, well, if everybody was not involved, then a lot of evil will be happening in the world. That's not what I said. I said it may not be for you to get involved. It doesn't mean other people shouldn't get involved, or the people whose job and duty and destiny it is to get involved, to get involved. You need to know if it's for you. YOU to get involved. And I'm a living example of someone who has gotten involved, try to fix things, saying that things are not right, they're not fair, trying to ensure justice, and suffered heavily for it. Suffered physically, emotionally, psychologically, financially, and spiritually. There are some people, out of the kindness of your heart, you bring them into your home and then you start experiencing terrible things. And the people didn't do anything to you. It's just you start experiencing certain things. This is the reason why when you look at that allegory in the Bible about Jonah and the whale, now pay attention now. I'm going to use a Christian example. Remember the story of Jonah and the whale, for those of you who are Christian or aware of Christian stories. Okay? Jonah represents something, the whale represents something, the ship represents something, the stormy sea represents something. If we're to go into it and start analyzing it metaphysically. But let's leave the metaphysical interpretation alone for a minute. Let's go just into a straight literal interpretation. So Jonah was running away. He didn't want to do what he was told to do. So he figured, I am going to jump on a ship going to Tarshish. I'm going to get away. I don't want to go to Nineveh. I don't want to go deal with the hard-hearted people there. I do not want to be bothered. I want to be free. I want to be free. So free. So he bought a ticket, paid his money, bought a ticket, and got on the ship going to Tarshish. As they were on that ship, everything was going well. There were other people on the ship. There were a lot of merchants on the ship, people who had bought things that they were going to sell. So people had their investments in there. I'm sure there are lots of wealthy people were on that ship, the wealthy merchants. They had their money, they had their things on that ship, and they took on Jonah. The people on that ship did not know what Jonah was carrying. They did not know Jonah's situation. They did not know his drama. They were like, dude wants to travel with us, sell him a ticket. They sold him a ticket. He got on the ship. So now we're traveling together. This is like when someone says, "Oh, come into my home and break bread with us. I know things, and just come and stay with us and tide over until things get better, or let's help you get to where you're going." And you take someone into your home, or you take them into your business. "Oh, I see you're suffering. Come here, let me teach you the business, show you the business." And you take them on. So these people in the ship, they did not know that Jonah was going through some spiritual drama. They were like, he has his money, he bought his ticket, and he can come on. And the ship set sail. And that's when the drama started. Unfortunately, they didn't have popcorn. So they could have been there, be like, let's see how this movie goes. They ran into rough weather. And everybody was coming together to try and rescue the ship. They were like, we have our merchandise on this ship. We have our investments that we have plowed money into on this ship. We have our resources, our livelihood on this ship. We have a lot to lose if this ship goes down. So everybody started pulling together. And Jonah had an idea as to why they had hit the storm. But his position was, if I keep quiet and if I don't say anything, nobody will know. I'm just going to go along with the crowd. Nobody knows me. And I'm going to go along. Nobody's going to know. This is going to blow over. I'm not going to be identified. And then the storm became worse. Got worse. And then people were like, we're finna lose our life in their ship here. So someone had a bright idea and said, and I want you to pay attention to this, because this is how most of us solve problems in our lives, and it doesn't mean that this is the right thing to do. So somebody or some of them on that ship had this bright idea. In order to save the souls on the ship, in order to make sure we don't lose anybody, let's start throwing overboard our goods. Let's start throwing overboard our material things. Even though we have spent a lot of money buying these things, even though this is our investment, our livelihood, but now we're talking about survival. This is when things are going haywire in your life. You're not calling a spade, and you're saying to yourself, oh, it's just money, it's just things, they can be replaced. And everything is going to hell in a handbasket or going to hell in a teacup. And you're there saying, oh, it's just material things, I can replace them. Let me just get through the storm. And you have no idea if you will be able to replace those things. You have no idea. You're just guessing that you will be able to replace those things. You are guessing that you will be able to restore yourself. Please remember to power tap. I appreciate it. That lets the platform know to inform people that class is in session. And a thumbs up will be appreciated as well. Okay. So we're doing everything but identifying the true source of the problem, which is the person we brought into the house, the person we brought in the core. We're not looking at that. We're looking at all the other external things. I'll give up the car. I'll give up the house. I'll give up the job. I'll give up the this. I'll give up the that. I'll give up the that. Just because you want to be identified as a ride or die. I want my homies to know that I'm down with the team. I'm down with the group. They can count on me. I want them to know that no matter what happens, we are all in this together. So they started throwing their stuff overboard. And even as they threw their merchandise and their stuff overboard, the storm got worse. The situation started getting worse. Then some of them had another bright idea. Let us cast lots to find out who amongst us is responsible for the storm. And this is what they should have done first, before throwing their merchandise overboard. Casting lots is like divination. We're going to use straws, have folks pick straws, and they have their method of doing that to determine who's guilty and who's not guilty. So they started performing a divination. After they've lost their stuff, then they were like, let's do a divination. And many of us are like that. After we have sustained losses, then we go and say, oh, let's do a divination and find out why we're going through this. But already we've sustained losses. Okay. And when they decided that they were going to cast lots and find out who was responsible, because they're like, surely God is trying to tell us something, or the gods of the ocean are trying to tell us something. There's somebody on this ship who has no business being on this ship. And so we're going to use divination to find out who is not supposed to be on this ship. So they cast a divination. They cast lots, and the lots fell on Jonah. So they looked at Jonah, and they're like, dude, bro, we got to throw you overboard. We got to let you go. We got to set you free. It is better that one person perish than all of us perish. We hate to do this to you, but this is what we're going to do to you. And at that point, he knew the jig was up. So they grabbed him and threw him overboard. And once they threw him overboard, the storm stopped. But let's stop here, because we're not interested in, at this point, knowing what happened with Jonah in the belly of the whale, and so on and so forth. That's not the point. The point here is this. Before they got rid of the problem person, they had already lost a lot of their material goods, their investments. They had already suffered stress and trauma. And there are many of us who will keep on carrying somebody that we're not supposed to carry, and we're sustaining all this trauma and stress and injury and name it all. We're sustaining all these things. We're sustaining material losses. And somewhere in our heads, we're like, no, I'm a ride or die. I want people to know that I'm a good person. I want the brownie points. I want people to praise me. I want people to say what a good person I am, that I stood by this person through thick or thin. And we have all these reasons why we are still with the person who is literally snuffing the life out of our existence. Because we want to be nice, we want to be kind, we want to be thoughtful, we want to be empathic, we want to be sympathetic, we want to be whatever it is that we want to be. But there's a spiritual law here. The spiritual law says, do not carry the burden that is not yours to carry. As long as you keep on carrying that burden that is not yours to carry, you will continue to suffer the consequences of carrying that which is not yours to carry. So if you are living with or married to someone who is pulling you down, and you're there saying, oh, I'm staying for the sake of the children, I'm staying because of the 401k, I'm staying because of the health benefits, I'm staying because of the this, the that. You have to accept the consequences of staying with that person. You just have to. Oh, I'm going to stay with this person because they have money, they have wealth, and they have access to materials and things and blasé and blasé. Just be prepared to accept the consequences of staying with the person. You just have to be ready for the consequences. Look at the testimony that people were given when they were dealing with the epi guy. Okay? And you had a whole bunch of wives who knew what their husbands were doing or had an idea of what their husbands were doing, and they stayed, and some left. And so when that brown soft thing hit the piece of rotating machinery, some of the women were able to say, guess what? Once I saw that my husband was playing with Epi Boy, I knew it was time for me to exit left stage. Some other women had to stay and start testifying alongside their husbands and proving that they had nothing to do with what Epi Boy was doing. And you have people in the comment section saying, oh yeah, you stayed with your husband, so you were part of it. We're sure you were part of the Hunger Games. And the woman's out there trying to defend herself and say, no, not really. I wasn't part of it. I just, I know my husband was being stupid or my fiance was being stupid, but I was trying to. And they're trying to defend themselves. When we start looking at spirituality, and people from different spiritual traditions recognize this and understand this and are aware of this, there are certain people and lineages that carry certain kinds of problems in the form of hexes and curses. At the very least, bad luck. This is well known in spiritual traditions. It is even well known in religious traditions. There are people who just are carrying hexes, bad luck, ill fortune, and curses. Okay? And anybody they come into contact with gets contaminated, gets smeared with this thing. And the person they come into contact with and the person they contaminate now starts suffering. And it's up to the person to say, no, I need to cut and free myself, or I'm going to stay here and continue trying to be a Mother Teresa to this afflicted person. There are some women who are married to cursed men, and that's why they and their children are not doing well and will never do well as long as they stay in that home, that marriage with that man. The children will have a dickens of a time because they're descended from somebody who is carrying this thing. There are men who are married to cursed women, and they and their children suffer and continue to suffer the consequences of this union. And there are some people who say, well, if the deed's been done, I guess I'm just going to stay here until it's my time to go. And some other people are like, you know what? I deserve better. I can do better. I need to get out. And then they will struggle and fight and get out. There are some people who are so burdened with their spiritual affliction that even when you're not married to them, you're not living with them, but the fact that you were intimate with them almost wipes you out. And I'm sure there are some of us in this class and who will watch the class later who can identify with that. You were intimate with a person, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe more than twice, and suffered the consequences of that moment of pleasure. And oftentimes you didn't know that this person was carrying something, whether it's they were carrying it on their own head or carrying it from their lineage. You didn't know. All you know is that after you started tangoing with this person, things started going south for you, things started going haywire for you. And then you may have gone and gotten a divination, and the divination says, oh, there's problem in your hearth. The hearth of your home is contaminated. And you're there saying, well, how can I tell the person this? The person's going to say this is woo-woo stuff. But when your money is disappearing, that is not woo-woo. When you're getting involved in random accidents back to back to back, that is not woo-woo. When people just suddenly start attacking you in the job, that is not woo-woo. When folks be accusing you of what you did not do, and they stand by it and swear by it, that is not woo-woo. There are people who are incarcerated today because of association. They didn't do the crime. They're doing the time, but they didn't do the crime. But they're doing that because of association, especially spiritual association. There are people who were doing so well when they were on their own, but once they yoked with this other person, everything started crumbling. Their looks crumbled, their reputation crumbled, their image crumbled. They start looking, yes, and you're correct, Afristar. They start getting physically sick. There are some people who, on their own, they're healthy and sexy and everything and whatnot. Once they hook up with this other person, they're having all these illnesses that defy explanation. They're having strange sicknesses. They just have cancer of the uh, cancer of the amygdala. And they're like, what is an amygdala? Or they're having cancer of the appendix. And they're like, I didn't know the appendix could have its own cancer. I had no idea. They're having toe cancer, toenail cancer. But oh, I must be faithful. I don't want them to feel bad. I can't abandon them. I can't leave them. Even though I've seen the pattern here, even though I have the evidence that my situation is getting worse the longer I stay with this person and interact with this person, the longer that's happening, I'm seeing the signs. But you know what? I'm a loyal person, and I don't want people to think that I'm heartless, and I don't want people to say that I'm a wicked person. And you know what they say in the movies, suppose the person's fortune turns around, and I have to be with this person because if their fortune turns around, I don't want it to be said that, oh, I abandoned them in their time of need, and now that their fortunes turned around, I'm now coming back to them like a gold digger. And we give these excuses and justifications, and we suffer. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that you will have a wealthy person? Not all, but some of them will do this. A wealthy person is married, and and they start making money, and they make money, and they make money up to a certain level. And when they get to a certain level, they get divorced, and then they go marry somebody else. And then their wealth starts accelerating. I want you to think about that. The first person was the rocket booster that got them off the Earth and into the stratosphere. And if you know anything about rockets and spaceships, once that rocket booster boosts that spacecraft into the stratosphere, its fuel, it becomes expended. And that rocket booster becomes useless. It becomes empty. And it falls back to Earth. And the rocket keeps on going. But rocket booster falls back to the Earth. And that rocket keeps on going. And then it starts using, if it has any other boosters, then it will start burning that fuel to keep it going forward. That's a metaphor for what's happening. This is why I say carry the burden, carry the cross that is yours to carry, not someone else's. There should be no shame in your game. Don't feel bad. Because if the shoe were on the other foot, they would do the same thing to you. Okay? If the shoe were on the other foot, they would do the same thing to you. Okay? So don't take it personal. This is how life is. If you come to a family, or you're looking at a family, and there's a black sheep in the family, before you jump in and start defending the family or defending the black sheep, observe and pay attention to what is going on. The black sheep may be right, or the family may be right. Don't assume that every black sheep is innocent. And don't assume that every family is guilty. Stand back and assume pardon me, stand back and observe before you start forming your opinions and start making announcements and statements. Stand back and observe. There are some people who are justifiably identified as black sheep, and there are some people who are not, it's not justified. Okay. We cannot run out and help people without knowing the spiritual implications of helping them, or knowing what kind of spiritual crosses they're carrying. Let me give a concrete example. There are some women, okay, and I've come across quite a number of them in my spiritual consultations. And if you want a consultation with me, please go to my website, tochi.us or drtochi.com, and book one. Okay. There are some women who are very sensitive. They're very intuitive. Even men. Let me not just say women. Even men who are very, very intuitive. They will meet someone, get along with someone, they will gel with someone, have a good time with someone. But on that day, and I want you to hear me on this, on that day, they have decided to be intimate with a person, they will have a strange dream. On the day, they are like, okay, today is going to be the day. Okay, we're going to do the dookie. They will have a dream before. And that dream will not be a pleasant dream. But what do most of us do? Most of us will ignore the dream. We will ignore the dream because our body parts are tingling. We're already anticipating how it's going to be. Maybe we have some idea as to what that person can do in the other room. Maybe the person has given us some hints as to what they are going to do or what they can do in the other room. Greetings to you, Lady D Natural Creations. Okay. And so our loins are tingling. And as our loins are tingling, our brain shuts down. Our common sense goes on vacation to Greece. But you had a dream the night before. And you woke up and you said, I'm sure this is a meaningless dream. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to treat it as a big deal because I'm not marrying this person. We're just going to sleep together. If I was going to marry this person, then I would take that dream seriously. But since we're not getting married, we're just shooting the breeze. We're just kicking it. I'm grown. We grown. We grown and sexy folk. So we go there and do the dookie. But what you did not realize, what I did not realize, what we don't realize is that our spirits, the spirits that accompany us, the spirits of our lineages, our totem animal spirits, our ancestors, whatever spirits we are with, whatever spirits are accompanying us, we're trying to let us know that if we became intimate with this person, something fundamental was going to change with us. And we were going to get contaminated. And this contamination will be of a spiritual nature, and this spiritual contamination would not be easy to eradicate. It's not just as simple as, okay, we did the do, everybody go their own way now. No, because there are some people who come from pretty powerful lineages that have covenants. And those covenants are many generations long as to who they can sleep with and who they cannot sleep with. And you may not be aware. Maybe you're a descendant of an enslaved ancestor, or maybe you're out in the diaspora, or maybe you moved. Maybe you're not in touch with your roots. So you don't know that you come from this kind of lineage where there are terms and conditions. Who you can sleep with and who can sleep with you. So you think it's free for all. I can do whatever I want to do. Just like Burger King, I can have it my way. So you go and have it your way, and then your suffering begins. Things start going missing. Opportunities start disappearing. People start treating you differently, and you don't connect the dots. You're not connecting the dots. You're like, oh, life happens. And then maybe you come online and you're listening to me, and maybe on that particular day I'm saying, all adversity has an expiration date. You're like, right. Nothing lasts forever. Dr. Tochi said that as long as we're spiritual, we will overcome our problems. That's what Dr. Tochi said, and that's what I'm going to go with. But I'm speaking generally. How about that dream you had the night before? There are some people who may not even have the dream. At the point of intimacy, they literally feel something being transmitted or embedded in their body. Sometimes it feels like an electric shock. Sometimes it feels like goosebumps. Sometimes it feels like their consciousness is leaving their body, or they're moving out of phase. Their physical body is moving and this frequency, and their consciousness or their spirit is moving. That something happens. And they're like, oh no, maybe it's the AC. One lady said to me, she thought it was the AC. She thought it was the air conditioning. So I said, so you thought it was the air conditioning. You felt a certain kind of way. Once contact started, your body felt a certain way. You felt like that shock. And you thought it was the AC. She said, yeah, so after we were done, I pulled the blanket over me. Did it solve the problem? No. When that person laid their hand on your skin and you felt that electric shock, that's when you should have said, wait, and got up. That's at that moment is when you should have said, wait, I'm coming. Let me go get something. I forgot something. When I was younger, let me tell you a funny story. When I was younger, in my 20s, I had situations where, and I used to be so trifling in my 20s. I used to be pretty trifling. There were times I would be about to do the do. And when the other party would show what they were working with, if I was not impressed, I would escape. I have had instances where I escaped in my undies. I just left my clothes behind. I was trifling. I was like, "Can I go to the restroom?" Person's like, "Right now is now the time to go." I'm like, "Please, my bladder's full." I just so the person moved aside. Once they moved aside, I hop off, grab my car keys. I left my clothes, everything behind. Grab my purse. I used to be so trifling. I used to be into, oh, everything had to be aesthetically pleasant. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to see anything bending to the left or anything bending to the right. I didn't want to see anything with strange shapes. I didn't want to see mushrooms. I didn't want to see pointed daggers. I mean, like I said, I used to be so trifling. Okay. So if I'm just seeing implements, Afro mind your business. Mind yourself. No, I don't want to see pens. I don't want to see mushroom heads. I don't want to see. Yeah, you're looking at this and you're like, is it going this way? Is it going? Yeah. I was trifling like that when in my 20s. I was trifling like that. Okay. So I would leave stuff. Just take my car keys, my wallet. And oftentimes I would leave the wallet in the car anyway, but especially it was the first time, you know. But isn't that a good thing to decide what you want or don't want? Well, when I was older, I handled those things differently. You see what I'm saying? But when you're in your 20s, you do what you do. Okay. Yeah, when I got older, I sometimes I would ask. I would say, "Can I see?" You know what I mean? When I got to my early 30s, I would say, "Can I see?" Or I would make insinuations. I would say, "I don't like the ones that look like this or the one." So you would determine if you want to move forward, because I would let you know, look, I don't want to. I'm not into arrowheads, mushroom heads. I'm not into bananas. I'm not into um, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So I was bold like that. I was bold like that. I'm not into little fingers, you know, and everything falls out. I would say it jokingly well before the time. So if you qualified, you would disqualify yourself early enough. You get what I'm saying? Okay. But that's beside the point. Like I said, I was trifling in my 20s. So I say this to say that if you need to get away, you can always get away. That's the point of me saying what I'm saying. If you need to get away, you can get away. Okay. Are you still with me? All right. Oh, I didn't know that there were comments on YT here. It wasn't scrolling. Sorry. I'm just seeing it now. Okay. Absolute, you're something else. The one-eyed monster. Miss Kiona says the one-eyed monster. Yeah, okay. Zerapenta says you're wise and right, not trifling. Well, everybody different. Okay. Yeah, we be trifling. Okay. Yeah, because you would know you didn't make the cut. And I was that way because I grew up with men who were not ashamed to cut the women. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't have this, they weren't interested in you. If you weren't like this, they weren't interested in you. If you weren't like that, they weren't interested in you. So I kind of grew up with that directness, because I grew up with guys who'd be like, "Oh, if you were a size anything more than a size 8, they will have nothing to do with you. If you had big feet, they wouldn't have anything to do with you." So I did grow up with guys like that. So my thing is like, if you have standards, I have standards too. Let everybody implement their standards. Okay. But again, the point I'm trying to make here is that you can always get up and walk away if something is not right. And there are a lot of us, men and women, men included, who know that that kolache they are about to make is not the right one. But they're like, oh, well, I might as well. And then you wonder why your life as a man is so blighted. There are some men who are very nice, very sweet, but for some strange reason cannot get nice and sweet women. And the more good they do for women, the worse it turns out for them. And sometimes they don't realize that this is as a result of what they picked up prior. So it happens to men too. It does happen to men too. Okay. There are some men who are like, oh, well, let me just make her happy. Okay, you went to go make her happy, and you're suffering from a lifetime of troubles and rejection and bad luck and all kinds of drama going on with you as a man. And you had a dream before, you had a warning before, you had some inkling that you were not supposed to mess with that woman. But you were like, I'm a man. I can do whatever I want to do. I can put it wherever I want to put it. You thought you were like Julius Malema. Nobody tells me what to do. I will do what I want to do. I do what I want to do when I want to do what I want to do. Okay. And now you're suffering the consequences of it. There are a lot of people who require, not Malema. Malema is my guy. I love Julius Malema. I don't know much about him, but the little I've seen about him, I love Julius Malema. You can't tell us what to do. Nobody tells us what to do. We will do what we want to do. Okay. So there are some people who are carrying things as a result of their lineage. So it's not like something that they did personally, but there's some drama going on in their lineage. And they don't know how to clear it. They don't know how to deal with it. They're not even aware they're carrying something from their lineage. All they know is that when they go to school, they get the worst of it. When they get married, they get the worst of it. There used to be this young man I knew many, 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 many years ago, when I was even before I became a teenager. And he came from a desperately poor family. When I say desperately poor, I mean a desperately poor family. Okay. His mother was a widow. Um, she was raising him and his siblings in abject penury. And I remember one time he came to spend some time with our family. It didn't last long. I remember trying to be rude to him and he slapped me. So I cursed him as a child. Reminded him that he was poor. I was not nice to him. You know, there are some people who are that kind of dirt poor that if you're not spiritually aware or conscious, you will find yourself unconsciously attacking them. And that's what happened to me as a child with respect to him. Because I was a kid, I didn't know any better. Because there's some people whose poverty has an odor. There are some people who are so poor, their poverty has an odor. And it doesn't matter how much they wash and doesn't matter how much they clean, their poverty has an offensive odor. Okay. And now that I'm a spiritual practitioner, I understand what it is. It's a curse. But then as a kid, I had no idea. And people like that, not only do they have that offensive odor of poverty, and it's not a body odor per se. They may have a body odor, but this is even beyond a body odor. It's beyond a body odor, okay? It's beyond the body odor. And not only do they have this odor of poverty, but they're also spiritually cloaked. So it doesn't matter what good they do, their good never speaks for them. Yeah, it's sad. It doesn't matter what good they do for others, their good never speaks for them. Only their mistakes are remembered against them. So I remember he spent the summer with us and I got into altercation with him. I don't think I ever saw him again until my mother's funeral. And by the time I saw him at my mother's funeral, he had gotten married. Okay. Miss Kiana, like a strong stench. Yeah, but it's a spiritual stench. It's not a physical stench. It's like a spiritual stench. I want to say it's like some kind of spiritual stench. Okay. So anyway, the last time I saw him was at my mother's funeral, and he was married then, and his state of poverty as a married man was worse than his state of poverty when he lived with his mother. That's how bad it was. And I remember him coming up to me during my mother's funeral. And I was a kid. I wasn't even an adult. And he was like, he was ingratiating. He was like, "Do you remember me?" And me and my wife were trying to eke out a living and blah blah blah. I can't remember if his mother was still alive or so or whatnot. And I was not an adult. I was an older teenager at this point, and I was sympathetic and a little bit wiser, so I was a lot nicer to him. And after that, I heard some of his children passed, and then eventually his wife passed. And so here he was in the countryside, eking out a living as a subsistence farmer. That's a curse. And everybody in that area agreed that he was a nice person. And everybody agreed that his mother was a nice person. Everybody agreed that he was a hard worker. But nobody wanted to help them. But people always had the nicest things to say about him and his mother. But nobody would help. Everybody had the nicest things to say about him and his mother. I never met a person that ever said that this guy was a terrible person or he did this to them or did that to them, but nobody helped them. Okay. And now that I'm older and a spiritual practitioner, I'm now kind of understanding what happened there. The people around him, the people in his community, people in the family knew that there was something going on with him and his mother and his family and his lineage, and they chose not to help him solve it. But they were like, if we're going to do anything for you, we're going to do it from a distance. If we're going to give you financial assistance, we're going to do it from a distance. We're not going to bring you into our homes and help you. And I'm sure, because remember again, this guy was an adult when I was a kid, okay? And I am sure that adults probably down the road had tried to take in his mother or him or his siblings, started noticing one or two things, and they sent them back to where they came from. Because people are more worried about solving their own problems than taking you on with your problems and trying to solve their problems and your problems. And there are a lot of older people who understand this intrinsically and extrinsically. Sometimes they're able to explain it and sometimes they're unable to explain it. If they're able to explain it, they will tell you, oh, there's something spiritual going on with this person. If they're unable to explain it, they will just tell you, oh, I don't have the resources to help this person. I'm just struggling. I'm just trying to make it on my own and blah, 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 blah. But you come to realize and understand when you get older that these people knew that you can't help everybody. It's foolishness. You can't help everybody. There are some people with burdens so great. There are people who have spiritual burdens that are so great that if you try to take them on, you yourself will be crushed. You won't even know what happened to you. You'll be so crushed. This is why when you go to the church or to the mosque, the pastor doesn't help everybody. Especially the pastors with spiritual sight or the pastors, you know, who have assistants and seeing spiritual things. Like some of them do have it and some of them have assistants and seeing it. They can look at somebody and say, no, this is a person I can lay hands on and pray for them or whatever, and this is a person I need to avoid by all means. And the person will be there saying, help me, 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 oh, help me, please help me, help me, help me, help me, help me, oh, please help me, help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. And the pastor or the evangelist or prophet or prophetess or apostle or whatever they call themselves will stand there and be staring at the person. And people will be saying, oh, you're so hard-hearted. No, they're not hard-hearted. They're seeing something that you don't see. And they have decided this matter is bigger than me. If I try to take this person on, try to help them, try to intervene in their circumstances, I might get destroyed by it. I might get took out. So no, I'm not going to try it. I'm not going to try it. And it is people like you and I who will come along and say, oh, the Bible said, feed the poor and help the needy, and blessed are those who are kind to others. And, we quote all these things in the Bible and quote all these things from the Quran, and we take these people on, and then we get wiped out. And then we're the ones in the middle of the night go, oh God, where did I go wrong? So one of the things I advise people to do is to gain spiritual wisdom, gain spiritual insights, take care of yourself first. You already have your own issues that you are battling with. Deal with yourself first. Handle your own issues first. Don't be concerned that people out there might be thinking, oh, you're wicked, you're this, you're that, and they're going to say this about you and that about. That's not your concern. That's not your priority. Your priority is yourself. Your priority is yourself. Like they say in the aircraft, before you put the oxygen mask on your neighbor or even your child, first put it on yourself. Because if you don't have enough oxygen, you may not have enough mind or ability to help someone else if you don't have enough oxygen. Okay? You cannot, I don't care what ministry you have. People are like, yeah, I have the ministry of impartations. I have the ministry of healing. I have the ministry of prophecy. I have the ministry of signs of wonder. I don't give a shit what kind of ministry you have. You cannot solve everybody's problems. I don't care what kind of gifting you have, what kind of spiritual practice you do. You cannot solve everybody's problems. And everybody cannot solve your problems. This is the reason why sometimes you will go to somebody and say to them, oh, here's my issue and here's my issue. And you will tell them your issue. And after that, they will disappear on you. And then you'll be saying, oh, this person is wicked. Some of them are looking at it and saying, I can't take this on. I cannot take this on. I'm going to be realistic. I can't take this on. And I'm not talking about going to people for little things that can help you with. Remember in yesterday's class, I talked about the little test you can administer to people to find out if they like you or not. I'm not talking about that little test. I'm talking about you go to somebody and you say to them, I just got fired from my job and my mortgage is due, my car note is due. I need food, I need to pay for utilities, and I've got this bill and that bill. And the person says, well, how much is all these bills? And you say, well, it's just $5,800. And the person's like, say what now? And you say $5,800, and they're like, okay, can I call you right back? Click, and they block you. How many months am I going to keep on giving you $5,800? So we're not talking about that when we're talking about the test. Okay. Does anybody remember the test we talked about yesterday? What is that test? Simple test you can do to know if people like you or not. Can anybody remember that test from yesterday? Let's see if people were paying attention in class. Okay. This is the reason why, yes, absolute. Some people will offer help, and then when they go think about it, sometimes they will have a dream about it. They have a dream about you. They get a warning, they get a message, and they flake out. Correct, Miss Kiona. You are correct. Ask them to feed you. That's a correct answer. Okay? Yeah. You meet somebody and they're like, yes, I'm going to help you. I need a job. Done. I need somewhere to stay. Done. I need a ride. Done. I need new clothes. Done. And they're like, okay, come and see me tomorrow. And you go there tomorrow and they start ghosting you. Sometimes it's what's going on. They went home and slept over it. And they got a message or they got a feeling. They got an intuitive message about helping you. Sometimes that's what happens. Not all the times. There are some times when people really want to help you and somebody will go to them and tell them not to help you. That's also a problem. Oh, you want to help Mary? I don't think it's a good idea. John helped her. Peter helped her. James helped her. They will tell stories. So that one is a totally different animal right there. That one do happen too. Another one that do happen is if you're being called to spiritual practice and you're resisting that call to spiritual practice, people will flake out on you. So there's so many reasons why people can flake out on you after promising to help you. Okay. So one of the things you can start doing, or if you notice somebody who is having these kind of issues, you can tell them start working with your ancestors, start working with your spirits. Hello, sweet mommy. Okay. Let me tell them go and start work with your spirits, work with your ancestors. You first start calling on your ancestors and ask them, is there something I need to know about my lineage? Is there something I need to know about my mother's lineage? Is there something I need to know about my father's lineage that needs to be addressed? And if there's something in these lineages that need to be addressed, can you advise me? Can you tell me how to go about it? Because someone had asked a question at the beginning of this class: how do I take on, or how do I solving ancestral trauma in my lineage? And my answer to that person is, how are you sure that you are the one who's supposed to solve it? The fact that there's trauma in your lineage doesn't mean that you are the one who's supposed to solve it. It doesn't mean that it is you that has to solve it. That's where we started with taking on what you're supposed to take on. Okay. So, what questions do you have? My concern has been not being able to set up an altar right now when calling upon the ancestors. I got the best results when I had a Baveda set up before. You can set up an altar anywhere. You can set up an altar anywhere. You can have an altar indoors. You can have an altar outdoors. You can have a portable altar. Okay. You don't have to have an elaborate construction with um, matching colors and all that kind of thing. You can have the simplest setup where you set it up. You can have a portable altar. Like if you go to my website, you'll see examples of portable altars. Okay. You can have a portable altar and you can sit in your car with your portable altar and do what you need to do with your portable altar in your car. If you don't have a car, you could take your portable altar with you to Mickey's and you get the $1 menu with a $1 drink. Sit in the corner of the Mickey D's restaurant where nobody will bother you You set up your $1 sandwich there and you set up your $1 drink there. People will think that you're there eating your drink and you have your portable altar in front of you and you are doing your ish right there. And you are speaking, you are whispering, you are speaking under your breath. And you are doing what you need to do. And once you're done, you pack up your portable altar, put it in your backpack, eat your $1 meal, go jump the bus. And in case you wondered, yes, I speak from experience. Why do I get resistance when I make prayers to my ancestors, but the answer comes through after the what? I don't know. You have to put in the rest of the sentence there. So I have in the background here African Ancestor Connection Primer. If you got a copy of that book, I suggest you read it and use it. Those of you who have been following me for a while know that I'm all about practicality. I will give you the theory and I will give you the practice. Okay? But answer comes through after resistance. Oftentimes that happens when we want to have things our way. Have you ever said a prayer to your ancestors and said, however this thing solves, I accept? Thank you for the hand heart. Thank you, Ancestral. I appreciate you. Thank you for the hand heart. Thank you. Remember to power tap the screen, folks, so the platform will notify other people. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. That was a pretty one. Oh, and a donut. You don't want me to lose weight. There used to be one of my followers, a beautiful young lady who used to send me goat meat or goats or something on TikTok. So many goats. I'd be like, goats. Okay. There's sometimes you have to be at it for some days. Because you might have the dream the first time and you don't remember the dream. You have the dream again the second time, you don't remember the dream. And sometimes you have to be persistent about it. If you need to fast, you fast. If fasting is what is going to get you to the point of getting the message as to what you need to do, then fast. My advanced students, remember we did a class on combining fasting with your spiritual practices. And you are fasting for yourself. You're not fasting for your spirits, you're not fasting for your ancestors, but you're fasting as a discipline. You're trying to focus your mind. I became a titled gifter for the first time. Thank you, Ancestral. Tap, 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 tap. Yay. Okay. So, looking at your question, Authentic's question there in TikTok, it reminds me of when people say, I've been praying about something for a while and praying and praying and praying, and nothing happened until I started crying. And then I said, I don't care what happens. If y'all want to help me, help me. If you don't want to help me, I'll just stay here and perish, or whatever, and blah, 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 blah. And boom, they will get an answer. And the reason why that happens is because we reach a point of surrender. We're no longer struggling. We're no longer trying to do it our way. We're no longer trying to dictate to spirits, plural, what to do and how to do what they need to do. There's sometimes, and I'm just giving, there's so many examples, but let me give a few. There's sometimes our prayers and our petitions are not answered because we're in the wrong place. And if our petitions are answered in that place where we are, we will continue staying there because we'll be like, okay, everything is going well here, everything is hunky dory here, so I'm going to stay here. And Spirit wants you to move. So they're like, as long as you're here, your prayers, your petitions will not be answered. And you'll be so uncomfortable until you move. And then once you move, things start happening for you. Once you leave that location, once you leave that job, once you leave that relationship, once you leave that environment, things start moving. Okay? That's an example. There's sometimes you're praying, I want to win the lottery. I want to win the lottery. I want to win the, but you have a whole bunch of people who are like snakes in your life, but you don't know that they are snakes because they don't appear to you as snakes. And the reason why they don't appear to you as snakes, like Ahmed the poet said, is because you're not big enough to eat. And that's why you don't see their true nature as snakes. But when you become big enough to eat, then they will show their true nature and come for you. So as long as you're with them in that environment praying for greatness, it will not happen because you don't have things in place to protect you if these people come for you. And your first order of business is getting your spiritual protection in place, so that once you start ascending and they come for you, they won't get you. There are so many of us, and when I say us, I include myself, okay, that are walking around with inadequate levels of spiritual protection. Okay? We're just like walking ducks. We're like walking targets. We're not walking around with adequate protection. And so we're like, I want to be great. I want to be prosperous. I want to be glorious. I want to be this. I want to be this. I want to be that. Okay. And when you start becoming wonderful and elevated and glorious and visible and whatnot, guess what happens at night when you have a candle flame or even a light bulb in the dark? All kinds of bugs and creatures start going towards that light. Snakes will come. Frogs will come. Termites will come. Flies, mosquitoes, gnats, chiggers, no-see-ums, they will all come. Once they see the light, all of them will start heading towards that light. And if it's a candle flame that doesn't have any protection, sooner or later, all those creatures will put out that light because they'll be throwing themselves at the light, even though that goes contrary to common sense, but they will throw themselves at the light, try to jump into the light, try to be inside the light until that candle light is snuffed out. But if you have a light bulb and they're trying to get at the light bulb because the light bulb is solid and protected, they can't do much with the light bulb. That is an analogy for what happens for us when we start becoming great and brilliant and glorious. Are we like the candle flame that is just a light with no protection? Or are we like the light bulb that is out there encased in glass, maybe in a lamp holder that protects us? And many of us are just like candle lights. Even your Bible said, nobody takes a candle or lamp and puts it under a bushel. You put it on top of a bushel so that you can see. Well, back in the day, they used oil lamps. Oil lamps didn't have glass encasings. Oil lamps, you had your little earthenware container with some oil in it and a cloth wick, and you carried it around like that. And anything or anybody could put it out. You could be walking along the dark road or dark alleyway at night, and somebody just jump you with that thing. If they just jump you, that's it. It's out. Everywhere is in darkness. You can't see nothing. So sometimes when even I myself sit and I say, oh God, I wanted this thing, and why can't I have this thing? And why haven't I expanded this way? Or why haven't I, elevated this way? Or why haven't I done this way? After I've done moaning and groaning and venting and complaining, I usually come back and ask myself, do I have the spiritual protection required for me to be at that level? And oftentimes the answer is no. If I'm to be honest with myself, oftentimes the answer to that question is no. Even though I'm a spiritual practitioner and a teacher with over 40 years of experience, oftentimes I know the answer to that question is no. Because I'm so busy doing this and doing that and doing this task and the other task and running this errand and the other errand, and I have to do this, and y'all know that I love money. So I'm doing my multiple streams of income, and and I get careless. So sometimes if I sit down and I'm honest with myself and I say, am I at the level of spiritual protection and fortitude where I need to be in order to be at this level? I have to be honest with myself and say no. And once I say no, I calm down. I just calm down. I swear to God, I just calm down. And y'all know I'll keep it honest with you. I'll keep it 100. I'll tell you like it is. Y'all know I will tell you like it is. I'm not going to be out here fronting that I'm something that I'm not. One of the best things you can do is to be honest with yourself. Okay. So what other questions do you have about African ancestor connections, African divination? Remember again, volume 3 went out today, 120 pages with pretty pictures. I think it's different. The graphics of this volume 3 is different from the graphics for volume 1 and volume 2. So what I'm going to do is actually, if you write me a review of volume 1, 2, 3, and 4, I will give you volume 5 for free. And volume 5 is going to be comprehensive too. I don't know how many pages that is going to be. I just have a lot of material. So if you give me a good, either I can give you volume 5 for free or give you a dream interpretation for free. I'll give you something for free. Either the book, the ebook, or a dream interpretation for free. But it has to be a good review, not like 2-3 words. Nothing like very good. So if you get volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, I'll make sure that you get a good gift for giving me that review. Tell me what's working for you with those volumes and what is not working for you, what you'd like to see, what is missing. Okay? And I'll make sure you get volume 5 for free. And I'm going to check and make sure that you actually are saying something substantial about the other volumes. So don't be like, oh yeah, I like the pretty pictures. Because I'm going to ask you on what page are the pictures, which pictures, and on what page. So I want to make sure that you actually looked at it. So volume 3 is out. If you are of Central African origin or heritage, I highly recommend you get volume 3 that came out today. You need to know how your people do divinations. You need to know how your people do divinations. You need to know how your people do divinations. You need to know the kind of spirits your people work with. You need to know how your people work with your spirits. That is your low-hanging fruit. If you're from East Africa, make sure you get the East African volume. If you're from North Africa, make sure you get the North African volume. It behooves you to know how your spirits work. And you can start experimenting and start calling on them and start working with them. Throw that together with the African Ancestor Connection Primer. You already got your spiritual practice going on. Okay? The point of all these ebooks is to make sure that you practice. That's the point of these ebooks, for you to practice. Not to sit down and just listen to me talk all day long and all night long. The point is for you to practice. Oh, I don't know how to do this. It's in writing. Oh, I wonder what this means. It's in writing. And each of these books come with references, so you can go and look at the suggested readings. You can read more about it. It's been a while. I don't see you on YouTube. I don't know why you don't see me on YouTube. I'm live on YouTube right now. I'm live on YouTube right now. Okay. So what other questions do you have about African ancestors, African divinations? Don't give up. There's sometimes our ancestors or our spirits are silent is because they have tried for so long and for so many years to get in touch with us, and we have been ignoring them. And we have forgotten how to hear them and work with them and be with them. We forgot. And so by the time we return to our senses like the prodigal son, we have to start from ground zero. Hajia Fanta, I'm seeing fake accounts. I don't know that I have fake accounts. So there, there are fake accounts of me. Good luck with that. I've never seen. I used to have a lot of fake accounts, people who made fake accounts of me, but I thought they left me alone after a while. I didn't know that they're still fake accounts. Well, on my accounts, you will always see a live stream. So, African divinations tied with religious methods, syncretism. Okay, I'm not sure what you're trying to say. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, DJ Bill. Okay. So, the West African volume, I'm going to do that last because I know that there are a lot of people out here in the Americas who are descended from West Africa. And I know a lot of my followers are West African or descended from West Africans. That's not to say I don't have folks from other parts of Africa, but West Africans be loud. They be loud. So I was like, I'll do theirs last because if not, I'll be spending all my time talking about West Africa. Okay. Familiarize yourself with the way your people do things. Okay. That's a low-hanging fruit for you. That's the easiest thing for you to do. Start making little offerings and pouring little libations as you're able. Don't worry about whether you hear something right away or you don't hear something right away. Don't worry about that. Your primary assignment is to make connection. Your primary assignment is to make connection. It's me, your daughter, Dija, coming to greet you today. It's me, your daughter, Dija, coming to greet you today. I spoke with you yesterday. I didn't hear anything. I didn't remember my dreams. That's okay. I'm here again to greet you today. Here's libation. I'm pouring you a little libation. It is me, your daughter, coming to tell you what happened to me at work today. My manager is a witch. My co-workers are witches. I am in the midst of witches. Protect me from the witches at work. I tried to make a living. It's me, your daughter, DJ, here again. I'm dealing with witches on the job. Either teach me how to become a witch or help me find a better job where I don't have to deal with witches. Okay. It's me, your daughter, DJ, again. There's this man I saw. He's good looking, and my loins were itching. But I want to know, is he right for me or he's not right for me? Is he mine or does he belong to someone else? Uh, do some of you remember the class that I did on? We were talking about relationships, what you can do to get the right uh, life companion for you. And we looked at different methods from different parts of Africa. Some of you might remember it. I did it a couple of months ago. And we talked about a Zulu method where you ask your ancestors to be gatekeepers. So if there's someone coming who is not the right person, they should slam the gate shut in the person's face. Uh-huh. So you can see, this is me, your daughter again. There's this man, he's good looking. He has six pack. His skin is smooth and shining like somebody who rubbed shea butter. Okay. Okay. And I want to know, is a six pack a real six pack? Or is it a deceptive six pack? Beyond. Okay, hold on. DJ, I see my people blend older divination practices with Abrahamic religion. Who are your people? Because I probably have addressed it. So, who are your people? Tell me who your people are. Beyond divination, is there a way to know if the ancestors have turned their back on you, especially when blessings stop abruptly? Divination is the fastest and easiest way. CEO, my Mandika people. Okay. So, Mandika people, I'm going to deal with them in volume 5. But I did teach a class, advanced class, on the Serer people of Senegal who have similar practice to the Mandinka people. Okay. The Serer people have syncretized their indigenous practices with Christianity. So their spirits, they call their spirits saints, but it doesn't prevent the work from going forward. So they work with panguls and they work with fanguls. And it still works. They have festivals for their fanguls and panguls, and it works. Okay? Just like Candomblé and Santeria and Lukumi have syncretized with Catholicism, it still works because the spirits that are being addressed know that they are being addressed. That is the key thing. So if you look at African divinations, volume 1, which is North Africa, you might find they like in that book we talk about Tsar possession, possession by Tsar spirits, and they have syncretized with Islam, and it's the same concept. And so they call their ancestors and their spirits saints. So same thing with the Mandinka people and the Serer people and the other people out there in West Africa. So it's just that you guys have called them saints from the Christian perspective, and they call their saints from the Islamic perspective. But when you look at how they call up the spirit, the way they call up these spirits, you won't find it in the Bible, and you won't find it in the Quran, the way they call up the spirits. Okay. So don't be so worried about that. If you need to call up your saints according to your tradition, go ahead and call up your spirits according to your tradition. The important thing is that you call them up. Don't be so worried about whether you're calling them saint or not calling them saint, or whether you're calling the original name. Or if you can find the original name, that is fantastic. But if you can't, you do what you can. We talked about this in yesterday's class. Yesterday's class, we talked about what do you do if you're calling. I think I gave an example yesterday. Let's say you're working with Shango, you're a devotee of Shango, initiate of Shango, but you're not Yoruba, and your actual deity is Amadioha. Amadioha knows that you don't know any better. That's why you're working with Shango. And Shango will deliver all your petitions and invocations to Amadioha. And Amadioha will answer you, even though you're doing it through Shango. But where the problem comes is if you now know of Amadioha, you've heard of Amadioha, you know about Amadioha, but you persist in working with Shango, then that's where the drama starts. Okay? I hope I answered your question. The important thing is that you start. Okay? The important thing is that you start. During our spiritual intensive, we went through constructing our altars and learning the correct way to call our spirits. Okay. What to offer, how to call. So you want to go to a spiritual practitioner who will coach you on that. Okay. You want to go to a spiritual practitioner who will coach you on that. Look at that filter. My finger goes behind the lip covering. I want to do hoodoo, but I can't. I'm not the right culture, so I've been seeing what practice my ancestor. Hidden, hidden. You go according to your lineage. If your lineage is not of hoodoo, go to your lineage, because that's where that will be easiest for you. I thought about that yesterday and I spoke about that briefly today, but I spoke a lot about it yesterday. Go and if you want to watch a replay of yesterday's class, go to my YouTube. Find your lineage. If you need to do ancestry.com, if you need to do 23andMe, if you need to do, find out your lineage. That is the easiest thing for you to do. And start working with the traditions of your lineage. Not just because hoodoo is accessible or Santeria is or voodoo is. Go with your lineage. Okay. Let me go over here. Beyond divination, is there a way to know if the ancestors have turned their back on you, especially when blessings stop abruptly? There are several reasons why blessings stop abruptly. So it's not just, it's not, if your blessings stop abruptly, then it's automatically ancestors. So that's why you need to do a divination to find out why your blessings have stopped abruptly. See my matrix. My dad is Jamaican and my mom is foundational Black American. What do I need to know? What you need to know is the lineages of your mom and your dad. Start searching and looking through that and see how far back you can trace it. And then start working with those traditions. If your ancestors were Christians and they disapprove of spirituality, is there a way to work with the ancestors who approve? You've asked this question before a couple of months ago, Miss Kiona. I remember this question. Ancestors on the other side see beyond religion. They're concerned about helping you. They're not concerned about religion. They're not concerned about religion. They're concerned about helping you. So don't get caught up in, oh, my ancestors are Christian and the other one is a Muslim and the other one is a spiritualist and the other one. No, no, no. I'm calling on my ancestors to help me. Period. When you call on your ancestors, you're not saying, I'm calling on my Christian ancestors to help me. Why would you do that? Or I'm calling on my hoodoo ancestors to help me. Why would you do that? So if you get the African ancestor connection primer, you will know what to do with your I do your eggplants, okay? Could an ancestors bless you and then become offended if you don't acknowledge a particular one when you didn't know that it was them who didn't know? Okay, YouTube has questions. Yeah, I know. I'm going this way and the other way. Haja Fanta, at the very least, spell my name correctly. My name is at the top of the screen here. If you want someone to be good, and I talked about this in yesterday's class, if you want someone to favor you, at least, at least, at least, you call yourself Haja Fanta. If I called you Haja Coke, would you like it? Or if I called you Haja Sprite, would you like it? The reason, judge this matter. Judge this matter. I don't know where my family was stolen from. That's why you do the DNA. Okay, absolute is correct. You have to actively research it. CEO My Matrix, spend some money and get your DNA done. There's nothing like I've tried. I say all those things and I wonder if it's okay. It's okay. Yes, gatekeepers, that's work for me in real life. Okay, preach. Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm traced 10 generations back, trying to find the evidence of the original African born ancestor. You don't have to find evidence of the original African born ancestor. When you do your DNA, it should tell you. Then some of them will tell you the actual tribe you come from, and that's all you need. So Lucy, Dr. Tochi is double dipping between TikTok and YouTube. You better know that's right. Okay, so let's go over here. You spoke about this in a video years ago about how people are getting to the wrong website because of spelling. Yes, ma'am. Okay, it's carelessness. It's carelessness. If somebody's literally seeing your name and they're calling you something else and they're making remixes of your name, I'm not obligated to answer you. I'm not obligated to respond. Because if I take the time and the effort to pronounce your name correctly, the least you can do is to return the favor. You know what I mean? And Dija is absolutely right. Haja Fanta. Okay? You can go to my website and book a dream interpretation. I'm not doing dream interpretations, personal dream interpretations of people. I have said this before and I'm going to say it again. Stop putting your dreams in the comment section of public videos online. Stop. People need to stop doing that. There are sometimes you're out there thinking, oh, I'm just putting out there, but you don't know that that is coded information for you. And somebody else, you don't know who else is watching, you don't know who else is listening, you don't know who else is reading, and they take that information and use it. So if you want a dream interpretation, it's not expensive. Go there and book it. And you will get your dream interpretation in writing. I know, Haja Fanta, you want to get free. Everybody's looking for free. You want free. I know you want free. Me too, I like free. Everybody likes free, but I've said it before and I'm saying it again. I do not do specific dream interpretations online. Same reason I don't do people's divinations online. Certain things ought to be private. Certain things ought to be private. I can't tell you how many times I've been on TikTok and I've seen people who have consulted with me, publicly consulting with other people on TikTok, and the person's like, "Yeah, let me do your divination," and they're throwing cowrie shells or they're throwing whatever it is that they're throwing, and they're there telling the person all kinds of nonsense. And not only that, they're there saying, "Okay, where do you live?" And the person says, "Well, what is your real birth name? I need your real birth name so I can do an accurate interpretation." And the person says, "And you're using a username. You're using a username." And then you're going there and the person in front of the whole world, you have no idea who's listening or watching or reading. And they're like, "Well, what's your real name? Where do you live?" "Oh, I live in the United Kingdom." Where exactly in the United Kingdom?" "Oh, I live in England." "Where in England?" "I live in East Finchley." "Where in East Finchley?" And then tomorrow you meet a strange person and the person says, "Oh, the gods told me I saw you in my spirit. You were in my spirit." And you don't know that that person met you just because, and they have your information because you were online running your mouth. You were online putting out everything that concerns you. So no, I don't do it. No, no ma, no ma. So you can be seeing white men, black men, green men, pink men, yellow men, brown men in your dreams. I am not going to give you. I know we're very desperate, and I know how tempting it is. Okay. I know how tempting it is that you are on TikTok, for example, and someone is saying, "Yeah, I'm doing free divination. Let me call you up. Let me call you up." And they call you up, and people are seeing your picture. And maybe you're using a username. And the person's like, "Well, I have to have your real name." That let me explain something about some of these online people that you may not have thought through. When you're dealing with someone who is online doing divinations, or they're online doing free dream interpretation, or they'll tell you pay $3.33 or pay 555 or pay 111 or whatever it is, or give them 7 roses or give them 14 hearts, or whatever it is that they demand for. You are putting out your personal information online where it will never die. And that person who's doing a divination for you online doesn't have to put out their information online. You have no idea who they are. You have no idea who this person is. Let me give an example. I remember visiting Nigeria, and one of the young people there set up their ring lights and their camera, and they were on TikTok doing free divinations. Okay. And the people who were calling in from Australia, from UK, from Malaysia, from the US, from Canada, their living circumstances were far better than the living circumstance of the person who had set up that TikTok. Because we were all sitting there, we were eating bushmeat, drinking palm wine. I was in the background. I was off camera. I was off camera. And the person was there doing their thing. Yeah, yeah, yo, 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 yeah, yeah, ah, yeah, yo, 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 ah, yeah, ah, yeah, yo, 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 ah, yeah. And you're looking at the person. Okay, like look at where I am now. I'm sitting in my vehicle. Okay. Those on YouTube see that I'm sitting in my vehicle. You on TikTok, you don't know where I'm sitting. You're just seeing this background here of my ebook, the African Ancestor Connection Primer. That's what you're seeing. But you don't know where I'm sitting. You don't know if there's anybody else here with me. Even those on YouTube watching me now, you don't know if I have someone beside me or my back and they're just keeping quiet and listening. You have no idea. Zero idea who is with me. Because I have this camera pointing at me. So if I'm here, all you know about me is Dr. Tochi. You have no idea where I live. You may know that I'm in Texas, but you don't know my house address. I'm sitting in my work vehicle. You have no idea what my personal vehicle looks like. You don't have my license tag. You're not even sure that my real name is Dr. Tochi. Let's be honest, you have no idea if I'm truly who I claim to be. You have no idea. You don't know if this is a persona. Because Dr. Tochi is my brand, but you don't know if Dr. Tochi is my real name. You don't know. So I'm sitting here and you don't know much about me. Okay? And I come here and I say, oh, Haja Fanta. Okay. You have a dream, right? Yes. Where are you calling from? You say it. Where are you living now? You say it. And I will say, okay, in order to interpret your dream, I need to know, are you married or not? You say it. Do you have children or not? You say it. Is Haja Fanta your real name? You say it. Where is your privacy? And you don't know if your co-workers are watching. You don't know if your family is watching. You don't know if your enemies are watching. You have no idea. And there are many people who watch quietly. They will never interact. They will never write a comment. They will never say anything. There are many people who watch quietly. They will never write a comment. Never. And they're here, listening and watching. You have no idea. So you are talking to somebody that you know very little about, and you are revealing yourself on the internet that will never die. Go and look at what's happening to people now. Somebody wants to go for political office. Somebody will go somewhere and dig up what they said 10 years ago. Oh, look at what they posted on Twitter. Look at what they posted on TikTok. Look at what they posted on Instagram 10 years ago. Tomorrow, Haja Fanta might say, okay, I want to go for political office. Someone will say, is it not that one that goes online asking for dream interpretation from Dr. Tochi? And then they will go and dig up your comments. And then you try to do damage control. No, when I was talking to Dr. Tochi, I was out of my mind. I didn't mean it. I was confused. It wasn't me. It's a fake account. Somebody hacked into my account. You're now trying to do damage control. So this is why I say to my followers and to my students, don't. No matter how tempted you feel, don't. If you feel that the person you're watching is authentic, is genuine, is experienced, write them privately. Contact them privately. Contact them privately. And if they're genuine and authentic and experienced, they should have a way for you to contact them privately and to do work for you privately and maintain your dignity. Because all I have to do now is if I scroll, let me give an example. Okay, so I touch on Haja Fanta. Already I see that her name is Chantel. Okay? If I click on more on her now, I will start seeing her pictures. And, she looks like, a attractive young lady. I can start downloading her pictures. I can start using geolocation to find out where she is, where she stays and things of that nature. And then start farming other social media platforms to see, can I see someone else who is Chantel 280 or 820 or whatever it is? That's how they track down people. That's how you see somebody saying, "Oh, I know everything about you," and then you start saying, "I don't know. This person is like hunting me. This person is tracking me. This person is blah 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 blah," because of what you put out online. And so that's why I discourage it. I know that there are a lot of people who don't understand the implications of this. That's why I try to be proactive and say, "Do not write your personal information online. Don't write anything that will identify you online. If you have an issue that needs counseling or interpretation, do it privately." I have seen so many people on TikTok who have come to me for consultation, be consulting people for free on TikTok. And in that free consultation, I now start discovering things about them that I didn't even know. Because when people book consultations with me, I'm not interested in where you're calling from and stuff. I'm just focused on the reason for the consultation because I'm very busy. I'm just focused on the reason for the consultation. I'm not interested in knowing where you live or how you live or and things of that nature unless I'm doing a ritual for you or doing some other work for you. Then that might be necessary for me to know. But if it's not necessary, I don't need to know where you're from in order to do a divination for you. I don't need to know. I don't need to know where you live in order to do a divination for you or do a consultation with you. I don't need to know. But there's sometimes I go on TikTok and the same people who have spoken with me, I'm going there and I'm listening to the lurid details of their lives. And I find it entertaining, but I don't say anything. Mhm. They use animal DNA and like lying about their origin. I don't know who that means. The DNA people told the lizard about his heritage, but the DNA people didn't know that they gave results to the lizard DNA. Okay, I don't know why you'd be all in that playing games with them. Absolute says, look, give your SSN and blood type. I'm from New Jersey, hood adjacent. I already know if someone's using my government name, they up to no good. That's why I'm very quiet about things. Sa B Lu. How are you? Are you African American? If so, do you feel connected to Africa in any way? It's a genuine question. I'm French and I'm sorry if it's disrespectful. I'm just curious. Sabilu, are you African American? I'm African Canadian. Do I feel connected to Africa in any way? Yes. It's a genuine question. That's fine. Got a problem? Je suis African and je suis Canadian. Good evening, Donut Nurse. Okay. So are people understanding me? Are you understanding me? Maintain your privacy. Okay? Maintain your privacy. You don't want people coming back and later. I mean, it's just amazing how many people are TikTok detectives. They're better than the FBI. All you have to do is put out someone's picture and say, "Help me find this person." They will find the person, find where they live, and tell you how many times the person goes to the toilet. And you'd be like, "What the hell? What the hell? How did they find out?" Okay. So, what other questions do you have about African ancestors, ancestors in general, connecting with your ancestors, African divination? I put up volume 3 today, Central Africa. So, if you're from Central Africa, connected to Central Africa, or curious about how they do divinations in Central Africa, the volume I put out today is what you need to read. I was mind boggled like when I was putting it out. They're doing divinations with poison, with chickens, with boiling water, with rubbing woods together. They use ancestor bones, hallucinations, dreaming to do divinations. The folks out in Central Africa, y'all need to tell us what y'all are doing out there in the forests of Central Africa. And part of Central Africa includes, of course, the eastern part of West Africa. So we're looking at Cameroon. We're looking at parts of Gabon, Equatorial Guinea. Okay, so not just the Congo, not just Rwanda. We're looking at. We're even looking at the western parts of countries like Kenya. Y'all got a lot of stuff going on in Central Africa that's just like mind-boggling. I forgot you're Canadian. We can go on a trip for Caravana. Yeah, well, it's kind of late. I believe it's at the end of August. So I thought you were from the United States. Are you Haitian? I just answered you. I already answered you. I answered you in English and I answered you in French. Okay. So just read the comments. Somebody has already answered the question about me. Okay. So for me, that was really, really eye opening. Understand that divinations is not just by tarot cards, oracle cards, cowrie shells. You vague though. Okay, you're not serious. Okay. So any other questions? Remember again, not every burden is yours to carry. Not every burden is for you to carry. Okay. If people are avoiding a person, do your due diligence and understand why they are avoiding that person before you jump in to rescue that person. Make sure you're not just going by hearsay. Oh, everybody's saying this person's wrong. Do your due diligence. Do your due diligence. There are some burdens that you can carry, and there are some burdens you can't carry. There are some people you need to interact with, and some people you don't need to interact with. There are certain kinds of people you should marry, and certain kinds of people you shouldn't marry. There are certain peoples you can be intimate with, and certain kinds of um, people you should not be intimate with. You understand? You shouldn't be jumping into bed with everybody. You shouldn't be jumping into business with everybody. There are some people you should not even visit them in their own homes. You're welcome, Afrostar. And not because they're necessarily evil people, but because you cannot handle what they're carrying. You can't handle, there's no point trying to be a hero. You cannot handle what they're carrying. So leave them alone. Mind your own business. Here's $10. Here's $20. Pray to Jesus. Okay. There's so many times I say to people, Jesus is Lord. Pray to Jesus. Hallelujah. And they feel better. And I feel better. I say to them, Jesus is Lord. Lord, have mercy. May the power of the Holy Spirit fall on you. Because that's the best I can do. That's the language they understand. There are some people you try to help based on your spiritual knowledge, and they will insult you, and they will spurn you, and they will scorn you. And you're just trying to help them based on your spiritual knowledge. And they will say, why are you trying to bring that demonic stuff my way? And you were trying to help them. You were trying to help these people. I've had someone say to me, "Why I have so much bad luck and trouble and blah 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 and blase blase blase." And I said to the person, "Okay, I have these protection and favor bracelets. They're not expensive. I sell them on my website. They're not expensive. I can get you one." And what did the person say to me? "I believe in Jesus. I pray to Jesus. I believe the Lord will see me through. Jesus has never let me down." You know that I'm a spiritual practitioner. So why the hell would you come to me and tell me about your issues and that you need help? And then I'm telling you I can help you. And here's what I have, a tool that can help you. And then you fall back on Jesus. And you talk about how you talk to Jesus and how Jesus has never let you down. So why are you talking to me? And then next thing I'm seeing on their WhatsApp status is, Jesus is my only Lord. Jesus is the only one. Jesus is the only way. Jesus is my rock. And they're putting all these singing thing. Yes, you're right, Zerapenda. Yet they come to you with their burden. So you get to learn that not all burdens you're supposed to carry. So after that, when the person came to me and said, "Oh, this person, they gypped me out of some money," I said, "Take it to Jesus in prayer." And she said, "Oh, and we did this deal and it didn't go through." And I said, "Jesus is watching them." It's like a schoolyard fight. Life is jumping you, and Jesus is recording the fight on his cell phone. You know that's right. He got his iPhone. You know? And she come the other day, "Oh, look at what they're doing to me at work." And I say, "I will Bismillah." I said, "Jesus is going to get them." She says, "Hallelujah." Because that's what she wants. And each time prior to that time she'll come to me, I would spend hours giving advice and talking and counseling for free. And then she'll say, "Can I call you back?" And she'll hang up on me. So you come to understand that you may have the best of intentions, but your best of intentions may not be sufficient. So learn how to conserve your energy. It's a physical law, and it's also a spiritual law. Conserve your energy. Conserve your energy for what's important. Don't be out there dispensing your energy like it's a fire hydrant, like a public tap. Conserve your energy for the people who truly need you and will value you and will honor what you bring, the gifts you bring. But if you notice that somebody comes to you, they'll ask you this question and ask you this question and ask you that question and tell you their problem and tell you their problem, and you're giving advice and they're not following the advice and they keep on doing that. Tell me what to do, you tell them. Tell me what to do, you tell them. Tell me what to do, you tell me what to do, you tell them. You have to realize that you're being played and your time is being wasted. Your time is being wasted. And you could be doing something else. You're not conserving your energy. So you need to learn how to mind your business. Now, if the person comes to me and says, I don't have food to eat, I will buy them food on the spot. We'll solve that problem right now. Oh, I have nothing to drink. I will buy you water or whatever it is you want to drink right now. We will solve that problem right now. But the person is coming to you and saying, oh, and I have this problem and that problem. And, can you give me a ride from point A to point B? And you go there to give them a ride. They're not even ready. You're going there to help them out with their problem. And they're not even ready. And they're saying, sit down and let's eat. I didn't come here to eat. I took time out of my busy schedule to help you. And if you respected me and respected my time, you would be ready. If you respected me and respected my time, you would be ready. Oh, why do you have to be so rigid? I'm not being rigid. I'm busy. And the fact that you have access to me doesn't mean that you have permission to abuse me. Access doesn't give permission for abuse. Because some of the things you're getting from me for free, other people are paying for it. And they're gladly paying for it. I could be making money instead of being here with you, fafoodling and playing tiddlywinks. So understand you're not here to help everybody. And I say this for both men and for women. If you're a man, there are women who will waste your time to no end. If you're a woman, there are men who will waste your time to no end. And you have to understand that there gets a point where these people become energy vampires. They're becoming energy vampires. And you will suffer the consequences of allowing your energy to be drained. Because when it comes time for you to do things for yourself, especially putting your protection in place, you're too tired. All you want to do is to crawl into bed and sleep. Okay? All right, so I don't think there are any other questions. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming to class this evening. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to hang out with me. I thank you for being part of my spiritual family. And without you, there'll be no spiritual family. Understand that not everybody who starts the journey with you will finish the journey with you. So don't take it personal. Not everybody who starts the journey with you will finish the journey with you. That was a difficult lesson for me to learn. There are people who start with you, they're enthusiastic, they agree with everything you say, and then suddenly one day they just drop out. They may or may not give you warning. They drop out and drop away. Do not take it personal. It's part of the journey. Those who need to be with you will be with you. They won't care if you're fat, if you're overweight, if you're obese. They won't care if you've got pimples, spots, wrinkles, or freckles. They won't care if you're short or tall or skinny. They won't care if you have money or you don't have money. The people who need to walk with you will walk with you. Those who need to work with you will work with you, and they will bring you no sorrow. If I'm always interacting with you, and every time I'm interacting with you, I'm experiencing sorrow, I'm experiencing problems, there is a big spiritual problem going on there that I need to investigate and deal with immediately so that I will not get derailed. If you're dealing with somebody, a problem. Deal with them, problem. Deal with them, problem. Help them, problem. Help them, problem. Talk to them, problem. Be with them, problem. There is a problem. You need to understand there is a problem. Every time I talk to you, there's a problem. When I hang out with you, there's a problem. I ride with you in the car, there's a problem. We're either in an accident or the police is stopping us, or one thing or the other is happening, or people are cussing us out or something. There's a problem. If every time I come to hang out with you, I'm feeling sleepy, I'm feeling okay, the only time I feel sleepy is when I hang out with you, there is a problem. If every time I hang out with you and I go home to sleep, and when I sleep I'm having nightmares, there is a problem. I hang out with you at night, I'm seeing monsters, there's a problem. I hang out with you, I dream at night, I see masquerades chasing me, trying to flog me. There is a problem. If every time I carry you in my vehicle gets a breakdown, there's a problem. The first time I carried, excuse me, I get dehydrated. The first time I carried you, I had a flat tire. Next time my battery went out, my headlights went out, my electricity started flickering. There's a problem. Learn to pay attention to signs and symbols, okay? Again, I'm Dr. Tochi, aka Papa Dr. Tochi, the mama of the men's and the women's. We're thankful to our Creator, our guardian spirits, our ancestors, and our spirit guides for this time together. May the forbidden fruit not be wasted in our minds, in our lives, in our consciousness. Ashe. Thank you, sweet mama. See y'all later. I want to go get myself a blizzard or something. All right. Thank you for the gifts, TikTok folks. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. I will see you all tomorrow. Okay. See you all tomorrow. Make sure you get the books. African Ancestor Connection Primer. Learn how to set up your ancestor altar. Why you need to set it up. How to do your venerations. How to do your invocations. The African Divination, Volume 1 for North Africa. Volume 2 for East Africa, Volume 3 for Central Africa. The one for Central Africa is 120 pages. The one that I put out today is 120 pages, so it's a lot longer than the other two volumes. And I'm suspecting that South Africa and East Africa are going to be equally as long, okay? But it's a lot of good information. I'm sure you enjoyed it. It has beautiful pictures in there, so that you can have an idea. And remember, again, if you give me a review, good review, you can email it to me of volume 1, 2, 3, and 4. You'll get volume 5 free. Tell me what you like in the books, what you didn't like, with the pages where you found what you liked and you didn't like, what you learned or didn't learn. Give me some meat there, and I will make sure that you get Rolling Five free. Okay? Peace. Ciao. See you later. Thank you for coming to class. Thank you for coming to class. Thank you